Hey, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson here. Not sure if Jimmy Stein's going to be able to make it. We're going to have the press conference here in just a second for you. Unbelievable game. I mean, that was crazy. A lot to digest, a lot to talk about with this contest. It was pretty classic Alabama LSU. I mean, hard hitting, obviously not quite as low scoring as most of them have been, but for the most part, it was an unbelievable game. To think that LSU scored on their first possession each time, and Alabama had such bad clock management at the end of the first half, I was thinking, gosh, I mean, we're going to make this a lot harder than it is. First of all, I do want to say this: prayers up for Jaden Daniels. What an amazing player! I mean, just what an amazing player. He's fantastic. I've been saying all year long that I didn't think he was in, the Burrow, Bryce Young, Tua category, but he's pretty dang close. That kid's special, and I hope he's okay. I also want to add this: that's not targeting. That's not. I got to sit down on the floor. I'm sorry. That's not targeting. I don't even think it's roughing the passer, but understand why they called it roughing the passer. And the only reason I'm leading off with this is because it sort of overwhelmed Twitter towards the end, even though Alabama was up 14 and the defense was playing lights out at the time. It just sort of everybody was there. There were people like Matt Hayes saying that's a dirty play. It's not a dirty play. It's a good tackle. And if you want to say he used the full brunt of the hit and landed on the quarterback or whatever we're trying to figure out these days, okay, it's fine. But last year, Bryce Young was practically decapitated. They reviewed it. It was clearly targeting, at least by what I thought the definition was. Then they come back and say, not targeting. So there's no way you could call targeting on this one too. Now, I know, you don't always have one call in one game mean you won't get that same call in another game, whatever. I'm just saying that was not a dirty play. It was not targeting. And they did get a 15-yard benefit out of it, so it wasn't like nothing was called. All that said, what a win. Alabama essentially locks up the West. Can't wait to go to Kentucky next week. I'm going to Kentucky next week. I hope some of you guys are, and I hope that I get to see you when I'm over there. So much to talk about. I had to write some things down. This is our, quick visceral reaction show. I'm hoping Jimmy will be able to join me. I'm going to send him a link here in a second. Couple of things that just jump out to me. Jermaine Burton early in the game, they actually showed him like getting hit in the face. I mean, it was a football play. It wasn't Sully asked, what was the early mystery penalty on Alabama? It wasn't a mystery. Dallas Turner did have hands to the face earlier in the game, but they didn't pick up on it. I don't think the PA picked up on it. They just said personal foul on Alabama. And everybody assumed it was roughing the passer. It wasn't roughing the passer. It was hands to the face. And frankly, I think it was a good call. So I don't think that was anything to complain about. I thought it was hands to the face. Once I saw it, I said, yeah, I guess that's just hands to the face. But go back to Jermaine Burton for a second. Jermaine Burton, he gets sort of a hit in the face. And those are the things that have been setting him off either get a penalty or be on the verge of getting a penalty. And he didn't let it get to him. And then he actually came back and made a nice block. And here's the other thing. Jermaine Burton was not the star of this game. He had a few catches. I don't know exactly how many. I'll look it up in a second. Maybe 3. But he wasn't the star. And he just played through it. Man, I mean, bravo, Jermaine Burton, for growing up. I mean, that's so awesome. I'm so happy that you did this because I still want you to have that dog in you. We've been talking about we want our players to have that dog in them. Well, I mean, he's got that dog in him. He just needs to every now and again make sure that dog doesn't get too vicious. So then the clock management in the first half. First of all, I do want to talk about that, but Brian Green chimes in and says Milroe couldn't hit the side of a barn. I disagree. He was fine. No, was he perfect? No. Did he miss Isaiah Bond on a wide open touchdown? Certainly did. And again, we've got to learn to embrace this. Not like be happy that he overthrows somebody or that he undershoots somebody or that he's to the left or to the right or whatever. But you've got to understand this is who he is. He's not perfect. He's not methodical. He's not as accurate as Bryce Young or Tua. That's just not his gig. And he stays too long in the pocket sometimes. But I thought Gary Danielson, God love him. I'm sort of glad he's done. I thought he made a good point tonight. He was like, he's just not scared to stay back in the pocket. He will just keep staying in the pocket. And he said, when I was quarterbacking and I got hit a few times, I was scared to death. I got happy feet. I was doing what I shouldn't do. He said, but he just stays back there. Jada, I think that's who it is, says, congratulations to Will Reichard being the all-time leading score. Or passing 500 points in the NCAA. I think he actually passed one of the Wisconsin running backs or something for like third on the list all time. But he did have 2 misses tonight. I'm going to tell you why I think that's good. It's good because we won anyway without it. I think that somebody on a text chain with Jimmy and me tonight said Will Reichard was probably due a reset, meaning he had this long streak. And it's just like a long streak of free throws or shooting 3-pointers, or when a long streak of one putts, whatever it is, that streak's going to come to an end. They don't last forever. So when that streak does end, you want it to end at a time when it hurts you the least. This hurt us the least. Now, if Jaden Daniels had still been in the game and still been doing his thing, I'd have been scared to death. With Nussmeier back there, I was like, okay, they might go down and score, but what are the odds? They go down and score, get the onside kicks, and then Nussmeier scores another touchdown. I was thinking those odds probably aren't going to be very good. And I'm very sorry to be hopping around on everybody here. I'm going to invite Jimmy. Hopefully he will make his way to his apartment, which is right by the stadium. And I don't need to be telling y'all where Jimmy lives, do I? And then he can jump in because he was actually at the game. And, it was just an awesome atmosphere. At least it certainly seemed that way. I hope some of you can chime in and talk about that a little bit. Do want to mention some of our sponsors here. First of all, man, just thank you guys so much for letting Jimmy and me do this. We really do appreciate it. We wouldn't be doing this without y'all. And this is what I want to do on Saturdays. I'm 51 now. I want to sit back on Saturdays, watch a boatload of games, and then talk about it. That's what I want to do. I don't want to do anything else. I've done a bunch of other stuff. I don't need to do anything else. But I do want to tell everybody about Game Time. And this is serious. I want y'all to know this, that I'm not kidding. I used Game Time for my son's World Series ticket. I used Game Time for my whole family's Tennessee, Alabama tickets. I use Game Time all the time. It is a fantastic app. I got the best prices, and I was super stoked about it. They have last-minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area, views from all the seats in the venue, lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, all that stuff. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Game Time, last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, back to the game for a minute. When the press conference start, I'm going to get us directly there. I know a lot of you want to see the press conference. But what I really thought Alabama messed up was at the end of the first half, Alabama's got a nice little drive going, right? And they're taking time off the clock. And then it got to be about a minute 20, a minute 30 left, or maybe even a little bit more than that. And we passed the ball. And I'm thinking, why'd we do that? And it ended up being incomplete, stopping the clock. Now, it would have been a touchdown. I think that may have been the play to Isaiah Bond, or at least it was a couple plays before that, whatever. And I'm thinking, why are we doing it? We don't want LSU to get the ball back. And I think we underestimated as a team how good LSU was in the moment of getting down the field ASAP. And we just we didn't handle that clock very well. I'm not blaming Milroe for that, by the way. I'm blaming Tommy Rees for that because, and again, we won so we can criticize and be okay with it, right? But I think that was bad clock management at the end of the first half. And Jaden Daniels, again, I want to say prayers up to him. For those who didn't know, I think he's He's a fantastic player. I wish him all the best. I don't think that was a dirty hit by Dallas Turner. I'll say it for the 1,000th time. I don't even think it was targeting. If you want to call it roughing the passer, fine. I mean, I get it. We're in a new age of football, and things like that are roughing the passer now. 20 years ago, that is called an unbelievable hit. And that's called got to ring his bell a little bit. Well, he got his bell rung, and I hope he's okay. I thought it was crazy that they put him back in the game. That was bananas. But then I also want to give a shout out to Jam Miller, who I thought played a whale of a game. How about him picking up the blitz a few different times? He did a great job of that. And he actually ran the ball nice. He had a nice catch. That play that Milroe had where he just lobbed it over Harold Perkins' head, that was beautiful. It wasn't the best pass. It was a little bit short. But I see somebody here says, I'd rather have 7 points and trust my defense to get a stop with a minute left. I'm with you on that against just about anybody else. Tonight, against that guy, against Jaden Daniels, I would have said, okay, if we just get a field goal and I know they don't score, I would take that, because I knew they got the ball first or second half, and it turned out to work just that way. They scored on their last play of the first half and their first play of the second half. And that's what I was worried about. Now, it turned out, and they're showing the highlight of the Jam Miller catch right now, by the way. It turned out, again, to be fine because, Alabama defensively started doing some things, and Alabama was the first one to get that turnover. That play by Dallas Turner where he bats the ball in the air, and Terrion Arnold is all over it. Terrion Arnold played like a champion today. I'm going to tell you, a lot of dudes made NFL money. Jaden Daniels made a lot of money in terms of the NFL. I think if he's not a first-round quarterback, I mean, and you're telling me some of these other dudes are. I mean, I like Bo Nix a lot too. I think Bo Nix is going to be a first-round quarterback, and I'm pulling for him because he's from the state of Alabama. At the same time, you're telling me Jaden Daniels isn't as good as Bo Nix. You don't think he'll translate as well as Bo Nix to the next level? Malik Neighbors made some money, and I think Terrion Arnold made some money. I think Dallas Turner made some money. So, I'm excited about that. If you listen to this podcast at all, Jimmy and I always are pulling for Christian Story to get more playing time. He got more playing time tonight. Honestly, I didn't notice him in the second half, which I think is a good thing. But his first few plays in the first half, a little shaky. I wrote that down because Jimmy and I have gone out of our way several times to say we love Christian Story. We want it to work out for him. I still do. And just because he didn't have he wasn't a shining star when he first comes out there, that's not a big deal. I'm actually glad now, again, that we won, that he got the experience. How about Roydell Williams running really, really rough late and tough? I mean, look, I'm thinking that maybe, the progression of running backs tonight, where it was Jace and then Jam, and then you put Roydell in. I'm wondering if it was sort of like a South Florida thing. Now, South Florida didn't exactly work. The plan wasn't this way, but I think it worked out this way, where Roydell was able to take over later because he's a more Brian Robinson kind of runner. Like, he's going to get you 3 yards, and sometimes he may only get you 3 yards, but he's going to get you 3 yards. And I thought putting him in late was great. He held on to the ball well. Love to see him get a touchdown. They're showing the highlights again right now as Nick Saban's press conference is coming up anytime. I might have started this a little early, but I don't care. I was excited. The pass to Jace McClellan by Jalen MILREAUX was pretty unbelievable. But anyway, we'll go back to Roydell Williams. I'm glad to see he and Jace both got touchdowns tonight. MILREAUX with 4 touchdowns. We had 6 touchdowns, all rushing. I mean, and it was pretty funny considering that the one thing everybody's been talking about is, well, we got this deep ball. We didn't really hit a deep ball tonight. I mean, I think the longest pass play may have been 42 yards, that pass play to Jace McClellan. And that was really sort of a bailout, very short pass that Jace was able to make a big play out of. Still waiting on that press conference. I promise you we're going to get to it, and we do get to it here in just a second. And usually, as you know, I'm doing this with Jimmy, so I have a partner in crime. I'm just throwing out some things that I recognized. I want to say again, for anybody who just tuned in, prayers up to Jaden Daniels. I want him well. I want him to compete. I want him to have a shot to win the Heisman. Also, at the same time, I think it's very fair to say that was not a dirty hit. I don't think he was targeting. I wouldn't even call roughing the passer, but I understand where we are today. So I want to say that again in case anybody's just joining and they don't go back and rewatch it. Now, next week, Alabama's got Kentucky, then they got Chattanooga, then they're at Auburn, an Auburn team that is coming to life a little bit more. And then, hopefully Alabama will be playing Georgia. And I watched Georgia again today. Jimmy is going to join me. He might be joining me. Jimmy, what's up, bud?
Still putting the equipment together here. All right.
Yeah, I see. As you look, we got about 315 of our closest friends in here with us, and we appreciate you guys so much. I want to say this, Jimmy. I know you were at the game, and I've said this time and time and time again. And look, when Nick Saban comes on his press conference, I'm going to cut straight to it. So I want everybody to know that. I'm hoping that it's coming on here, and I've yet to see it, but that doesn't matter. So at the game, Jimmy.
Yes.
And look, we got a lot to talk about, but I promise you, you may not know this, but it's been blowing up Twitter. It's been the talk of everything was the hit Dallas Turner laid on Jaden Daniels. And I've said over and over again, prayers up Jaden Daniels. I want him to be okay. I also think that was a football play.
Believe it or not, I did just walk into my place from the stadium, and they never showed the replay of the hit on the Jumbotron. I've never seen the hit. Not one time.
What?
I knew what happened. Haven't seen it. They never showed it. They didn't show it on the Jumbotron. Not one time. The official made the late hit call. I texted friends to ask, hey, was that a good call? Because I never saw it because I was watching the ball downfield. So I haven't seen it. I just, I think the world of Jaden Daniels as a player, and I hope he's fine. I hope he's fine. I hope he continues his march to maybe a well-deserved Heisman Trophy. And I feel bad that he got hurt. I just hope that the hit wasn't super dirty or anything. Dallas has done this before, as we know. The hit on Quinn Ewers last year in Austin wouldn't be Dallas's first rodeo, although that sounds kind of like a joke line, right?
But I would say this, Jimmy. I didn't think the hit on Ewers was dirty.
No, it wasn't.
For me, maybe I've got to get the old school mentality out of me a little more. So I understand you want to call it roughing the passer, okay, but I don't think because you rough the passer that by default means you're dirty.
Was it late? You saw it, obviously. No. Was it late? It was just rough.
It was a dang good hit. And as I've said on here, 20 years ago, people have been like, oh, he got his bell wrong. And he did. And here's the other thing. Brian Kelly, much more serious and curious to me, is not the hit. The fact that Brian Kelly put him back in the game when he clearly didn't know what planet he was on. I mean, you see him sitting there for a minute, and I'm like, okay, maybe he's saying he's okay, but he might be saying, purple monkey dishwasher. I don't know what he's saying. He might be throwing words together, apple, hot water heater, high noon. I don't know what he's saying. I'm just looking around the room and
I heard they were saying on Twitter he may have even lost some teeth. Is that true?
It wouldn't shock me because the helmet did seem to get – I don't know that it did, but it was at least close to hitting him right under the chin. But I would argue if you can't do that, then let's just say let's not hit the quarterback anymore. And my other argument, Jimmy, and I tweeted this, and it's gotten a good response. I said Bryce Young was practically decapitated last year in Knoxville. I saw
and there was no call.
And I said there was no call. They reviewed it. And I said, thankfully, they're going to review this and get it right. They said, still no targeting. I said, I don't know what targeting is anymore. We got to quit calling it. This is a stupid rule. And I'm just going to say it again. If Bryce Young was not targeted last year, this is not targeting this year. I have no problem saying that.
Okay. Well, I'll look forward to seeing it. But, boy, what a great win for Alabama. It was it was tough. It was tough getting a stop. It's tough watching the defense like that. But I want to give a lot of kudos to Jalen MILREAUX. I know he did a lot of that with his legs, or most of it with his legs. But what stands out to me, Luke, is I feel like what tonight was, and I know I don't have much of a voice. I was yelling a lot inside the stadium. Week 2, Jalen MILREAUX wasn't ready to beat a good team. Jalen MILREAUX wasn't ready to win a game against Texas because he was making his third start of his life. Jaden Daniels had started 22 games before he even got to year 3. Jalen MILREAUX in year 3. He was starting his 3rd game ever against Texas on the biggest stage in college football. He wasn't ready, and Alabama couldn't win the game. Fast forward to week 9, Alabama wins the game because of Jalen MILREAUX. MILREAUX wins the game. And to me, that's why I love college football so much, why I love the sport, why I love cheering for Alabama, my favorite team, is you get to see these kids progress. You don't see that in the NFL. They sort of show up almost finished products. But in college, you get to see the progression. You get to see the development. No way, Al, if that game was played in week 2 against LSU, Alabama would have been run out of the building. Wouldn't have been close. They'd have killed us. As much as I said, 56-7, that game is week 2. But week 9, Jalen MILREAUX and the offense get the job done when the defense couldn't. And I'm a little upset over how the defense played, frankly. But at the same time, I know this. You play Kentucky, that's not going to happen. And neither it won't happen against Auburn either.
All right, Jimmy, I'm going to put the press conference now on live, okay?
Sure.
Really great win for us. And, this team has created an opportunity where now they got to make a choice. We've had 2 big games in a row here and still got 2 SEC games left and another game. So you're going to make a choice about taking care of business or continue to take care of business in the future because we can create an opportunity for ourselves and maybe win the West and, maybe get in the SEC championship game, and who knows what happens from there.
Start with Nick Kelly. Yeah, 279 yards on the ground, 6 rushing touchdowns. What worked so well in the rushing game tonight?
Well, the offensive line did a fantastic job. They got really good movement. The backs really pressed and did a really good job. I think we had a really good plan to run the ball and get the ball in the perimeter some with Jalen, some with some other guys. And the combination of those things, I think, helps your inside running game as well. But it all came down to execution, and I thought this was the best execution we had from an efficiency standpoint in the run game, all year.
Stay on the right with Dennis.
Nick, considering where you guys were after Texas uncertainty at quarterback, I think a really has lost maybe since you've been here. How much credit do you give yourself? Is this one of your better coaching jobs to get to this point?
I think the credit goes to the coaching staff and the players, and this group of guys have shown tremendous resiliency to keep working to improve. I think they trust the coaches. They respect, what we're trying to do to help them be better players. And, it's resulted in a team that has consistently improved throughout the year. And, we just got to try to keep doing that. We got a lot of guys nicked up today, but, hopefully it'll be an opportunity for somebody else to step up.
Charlie, we'll stay over there.
Speaking of those nicked up guys, do you have an update on Deontay Lawson and Jalen Key?
One guy has an ankle, one guy's got a quad. I don't know how bad the injuries are until they, do MRIs and all that kind of stuff. But so I can't tell you more than that.
Back on the left with Scott.
Nick, it looks like he's improvised runs, Jalen, and then he's had some predetermined runs that kind of grown as the year goes. He's really an elite runner. Is that been the case?
Yes. Some of the pass plays, we did run one quarterback draw, but some of them are just getting him to step up in the pocket. And then, if it opens up, he has the option to run or throw. And we do have some quarterback runs on the perimeter that he did a nice job of executing, and we did a nice job of blocking on the perimeter. So it's a combination of both. But I think the fact that we do that, just like if you look at it from the other perspective, because their quarterback's such a good runner on the perimeter, we're playing stuff to try to make sure we got enough guys to take care of him. And they hit a post on us, and we bust in the back end worrying about him running the ball. The first touchdown that they scored. So it creates some issues for you on defense, and hopefully we can keep building on that.
Right.
Yeah, this looked like it was a shootout back and forth with the quarterbacks, but what was the message? Looked like third quarter, you guys made the stop. How big was that? What was the message to your team to get that stop?
Well, I think that when you're playing in a game like this, you got to encourage the defensive players to keep playing. And I think the thing that got us when he ran for, 160 some yards, and most of those were on pass plays. It wasn't like they were designed quarterback runs. We had spies on him. Spy couldn't get him on the ground. We rushed 4 guys. So the best success we had was actually rushing 5. Kept him in the pocket, pressed him up a little bit. But, the message was, we told him at halftime, we got to be a little more aggressive. We're going to have to play man-to-man. We're going to have to push the pocket on the guy. So, and we did a pretty good job of that. And, of course, Dallas getting the tip ball and getting the interception, was huge in the game. And that's how you got to play. But the last 4 times they had the ball, we got stops on defense, which was, huge when the score is 28-28. But the offense did a great job of controlling it, so they didn't get it back very much.
Nick, where have you seen Jalen grow these last 2 months, and what's next for his progression?
Well, I mean, it's obvious that the guy is much more comfortable as a passer. He's reading things more quickly, getting the ball to the right guy. He's making really good decisions when he has to improvise. And those things we want to continue to help him grow and develop. But I think he's learned to play the next play. I think that, early in the year, he would get frustrated if he made a bad throw or whatever. And, now he's learning to play the next play. And that's what I told the players, before we played the game. I said, you got to keep playing the next play. You got to be in the moment, because the next play may be the play that is the difference in the game when you play games like this. So you can't worry about what happened on the last play, whether it was good or bad or whatever. And, he's bought into that. And I think that's helped him be more consistent.
Hey, Coach, they got the double score end to half, and then they started the third quarter. They ended up scoring. The resiliency of your defense to have the mental toughness to overcome that and then get those 4 final stops to finish the game. What does that speak about the leadership in that group?
Well, I think that the defensive players did a great job of responding after those 2 drives, which we didn't play very well in. But if we'd have just tackled the guy, we missed the tackle, with 12, 13 seconds to go, the clock probably would have ran out. Or maybe they could have kicked a field goal. I don't know. But, guy goes for the strip on the guy and misses a tackle, and the guy runs for a touchdown. So those are all things that we can learn from. But I think that our team has showed tremendous resiliency all year long. And they've always been able to make plays in the critical time of the game when they need to make them, and get stops at A&M. Played really good in the second half against Ole Miss. Came back against Tennessee, got a lot of stops. So, this is because of leadership, but it's because of the competitive spirit of the group as well.
Coach, you've been imploring fans to be the difference maker in these games, and tonight they broke the decibel record with 113 after Tyrion's interception. What can you say about their impact tonight?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Just the impact of the fans.
Oh, the fans are great. I mean, it was great. I mean, the atmosphere was great. It cost them some penalties in critical times in the game, which gave us a favorable down and distance, which helped us on defense tremendously. But the atmosphere in the stadium in the last 2 games, I don't think you could ever ask for more. And I certainly.
Jimmy, I got to chime in. I think
Yes.
it is so fitting that Alabama breaks its decibel record on the interception on a night when there was all this offense and we needed big stops, and we do it on a defensive play. That's pretty amazing. All right, I'm going to put it back on.
Wise to try to protect the tackles a little bit. I think the fact that we've got Jalen stepping up in the pocket helps the tackles a little bit so they can push guys by. But I did think we did a really good job in pass protection, which, that's the key to the drill, is give the quarterback time to make the kind of decisions he can make. And, when the guy's got running ability, it's even more that way, because the defense gets stretched out. They got to play scrambles. If you take off running, it's hard to get the guy on the ground, which we certainly got some experience on that tonight too.
All right. Thanks, Coach. That's all we got.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, that's going to do it for Nick Saban's press conference, Jimmy. I'm trying to get this all taken care of here. Man, I thought that was a pretty good job. I thought Terrion Arnold. I said this earlier. Jimmy, let's save some of this. I mean, we're doing quick highlights.
Yeah.
I thought Terrion Arnold made some money tonight.
Oh, he was fantastic. Obviously, playing against some premium wide receivers, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, and even Lacey. They're a fantastic team. They're as good at an offense as we'll face. Let's remember this. We've got what I hope is a 4-week march to Georgia in Atlanta, a 4-week march, Kentucky, then Chattanooga, then Auburn, then Georgia, 4 weeks, right? You got 4 weeks to get better. Georgia's really, really, really good, but they're not as good as LSU on offense. And I know that I might be making that stat-based, but no, seriously, Georgia's not as good as LSU is on offense. Now, they throw it even better, and Carson Beck is turning into a heck of a quarterback, but they don't have the run threat that Jaden Daniels is. And this was the defense's toughest test. And let's be honest, it wasn't great. And then we're going to talk about that this week on the show, Luke, is what defense needs to get better. I know this is the last thing people want to hear as everyone's celebrating, and I'm celebrating. I'm going to celebrate when the show's over. But now I'm pretty sure defensively, Luke, this defense has given up more points and more yards per game than we did a year ago. And I know people are like, oh, no, defense is way better ever since, we changed defensive coordinators. We are actually giving up now more points and more yards per game than we did a year ago. Now, that's fine because you've got 3 weeks to improve, and that's what needs to be the focus over these next 3 games. It's not just, hey, let's win. No, you've got to get better because the ultimate test comes in Atlanta. And you're not going to win that game unless you're better than what you are right now. But there are a lot of good signs, and I'm thrilled to beat LSU, the defending West champs. We got revenge over both teams that beat us a year ago. And, hey, you got to be honest. I mean, how many of you out there listening had us at 9-1 after that South Florida game? Probably not many.
Not many at all. I mean, frankly, I was too scared to even predict. That's really where I was. All right, Jimmy. That'll do it for today, man. Thank all you guys. We had over 550 people in here. What a day of college football. I just sat in here all day. I didn't do nothing. I was
shout out to Taylor, who I talked on the way into the stadium. Big fan of the show. Thanks, Taylor, for saying hi. And William, for your nice note. And I'll get up with you, pal. But thanks for all y'all support. It means a lot to both of us.
It really does. And we will definitely have a podcast out tomorrow, too. I'm going to get this one so that it'll go out. I'll look less disheveled. We'll all be –
I'm a mess.
Yeah, we're a mess. But that's okay. We appreciate you guys so much. Can't wait to talk about more of this tomorrow. And until then, savor the win, y'all. Go out and have a stiff one and roll tide.
Yikes. Roll tide.